Max, Friend, Hero, Marine by Jennifer Li Shotz. Chapter 1. The late afternoon sun poured in through Justin's bedroom window. A glare reflected off his computer screen, but he couldn't get up to pull down the blinds. He was right in the middle of a seriously epic battle against an entire military unit. And at that moment, he was winning. It was another hot summer day in Lufkin, Texas, which meant that it was another day Justin had spent almost entirely in his room. His best friend, Chewie, was practically his only friend, sat on Justin's bed and watched him play the video game. Chewie let out a couple of whoops and dudes as Justin took down soldier after soldier. As Justin finished the level, his computer's disk drive whirred and clicked. He was also burning a copy of the game for Chewie to give to his older cousin, Emilio. Emilio paid Justin cash for clean copies of the latest games, as long as they had no security codes or encryption. It wasn't like Justin was a computer genius or anything. He'd just figured out how to do it, and how to sell them, which it turned out was a pretty decent way for a 14-year-old to make some extra money, and he didn't even have to leave his room to do it. By the way, that's against the law, just so you know. Chewie bounced on Justin's bed, impatiently waiting for the disc. "Seriously, man, what's taking so long?" Chewie asked from his perch on the edge of Justin's bed. "Just a couple more minutes. Chill." Justin clicked away at the controller as a steady stream of soldiers fired away on screen. The virtual army let out a series of grunts and pumped their fists in the air or fell to the ground. Justin used to play this video game with his older brother, Kyle. More accurately, Justin used to lose to Kyle on a regular basis. But now Kyle was a real soldier fighting in Afghanistan on the other side of the world. Sometimes Justin tried to picture Kyle as one of those guys, but it was too weird. He couldn't imagine his brother shooting anyone. Chewie got up and began pacing the room. He ran a hand through his short curly hair and pulled up his sagging shorts. "Dude, I can't focus with you acting like a caged animal back there. Cut it out," Justin said. Chewie always had more energy than he knew what to do with. His best friend sat back down on the edge of the bed, bouncing his knee up and down. Finally, the disk drive stopped spinning. "Here you go," Justin said, hitting eject and picking up the burned disk from the computer tray. "Clean master. No codes, no encryption. You can't rush perfection, Chewie." Chewie rolled his eyes and reached for the disc in Justin's outstretched hand. Yeah, I get it. You're like the ninja master," Chewie said. "You got that right." Justin gripped the disc tightly so that Chewie couldn't take it from him. "Tell Emilio I want an extra 200 for this one." Chewie's eyes widened as he said, what was that? 'Cause I know I didn't hear you right." "He's selling the Assassin's Creed I ripped all the way up in Austin. I think he can afford a couple $100. Justin released the disc into Chewie's hand. "You don't want any beef with my cousin, man. Trust me," Chewie replied. Justin shrugged. 200 more, or this is the last one." He spun around in his desk chair to face his computer again. He waited for Chewie's comeback, but surprisingly none came. From behind him, Justin heard the bed springs squeak as his friend quickly stood up. "Hello, Mr. Wincott," Chewie said in a stiff voice. With a start, Justin turned around to face his dad, Ray, who filled the doorframe. Even in his open-range storage jumpsuit, his dad still managed to look like a Marine. His posture was ramrod straight, his hair buzzed military short, his expression stern. "Hello, Chewie," said Justin's dad. Chewie shifted nervously from foot to foot. "I was just leaving. Bye, Justin. See you around." Chewie shuffled toward the door. Justin's dad stepped aside, and Chewie slipped his skinny body by him like a guilty cat sneaking past a dog. "Son," his father nodded. "Hey, Dad." Justin started to turn back toward his computer. "I need you to help me unload some stuff from the truck." "I'll be there in a minute," Justin replied. "Now," his dad said sternly. Justin sighed and pushed back his chair. His dad was always bossing him around. Maybe his brother Kyle was okay with doing whatever their dad asked, but Justin didn't need obedience training. "Fine," Justin said, and followed his dad out of the room. On his way out, he noticed that Chewie had left the disc behind on his bed. He smiled to himself. Leave it to Chewie to be so freaked out by Justin's dad that he forgot what he had come for. Emilio was pretty hardcore, and he wasn't going to be happy when he learned that Chewie had misplaced his new game. His dad limped through the hallway and down the stairs, Justin following close behind. It never ceased to amaze him how fast his dad could move, especially with the leg injury that had gotten him sent home from the first Gulf War. Justin and Kyle weren't even alive when that had happened, and they'd never known their dad without his limp. It was just something they'd grown up with, and wasn't a big deal. But sometimes Justin felt as if the injury had only made Kyle worship their dad even more. Kyle had followed in their father's footsteps in a million ways. He worked hard, he did well in school, and now he was a Marine and a hero, just like their dad. Not Justin, though. It wasn't exactly on purpose, but he couldn't have been more opposite from either one of them. Although there was one thing Kyle had done differently from their dad. Justin's brother wasn't just a regular Marine. He was specially trained to work with a military working dog who was stationed with him in Afghanistan. Not only did their parents think Kyle was the perfect son, but they talked about his dog Max as though he was their third child. Justin felt like he'd been one-upped by a canine. Justin followed his dad out of the house and into the backyard. The hot Texas air immediately enveloped them. What also surrounded Justin was his dad's temper. "I was expecting to see you at work this morning," his dad said without looking at Justin, surveying the yard. "So you could pay me $8 an hour sweeping your floors?" Justin shook his head. "No thanks." His dad stopped by the sliding patio doors that led into the living room. Justin's mom, Pamela, was inside vacuuming. She had just gotten home from her job at Walmart and still had her name tag pinned to her shirt. Justin watched her through the glass doors as he braced himself for his dad's response. "I guess you'd rather I pay you to sit on your butt playing games all day," his dad said. Justin clenched and unclenched his fists. He knew exactly where this conversation was going. Better than running some stupid storage place where people keep the junk they should just throw away. Dad's whole body tensed. Justin took a step backward. Maybe he had pushed his dad too far. But he wasn't the perfect son. That role was already filled, and he wasn't about to be. "That junk puts food in your smart mouth, son." His dad's eyes were lit up with anger. "And I don't run it, I own it. Most folks are lucky for the chance to punch a time card, but not me. I'm my own boss." "Maybe you are. Maybe you were even Kyle's boss, but you're not mine," Justin said. Justin could see his dad's jaw tightening and the muscles in his face twitching. "I advise you to leave your brother out of this," his dad said coldly. "At least he knows what it means to put in a hard day's work and to show some respect." Justin rolled his eyes. "Yeah, that hard work is doing us a lot of good halfway around the world. He's not even here to help us out." "Stop now, Justin." His dad took a step toward him, his eyes locked on his son's. Justin had definitely gone too far this time. He turned away and headed for the driveway, looking for where he'd left his bike. He could ride to Chewy's house and spend the night there. Justin stepped onto the concrete and heard his dad's footsteps following close behind. Justin spun around so they were face to face. "What, Dad? Is this the part where you tell me again how Kyle's so perfect because he's a Marine just like you?" Justin asked. His dad's eyes practically bulged out of his head. "Justin, I swear!" Before his dad could finish the sentence, they both heard the sound of a car door slamming out front. They looked around the house and saw a black four-door sedan in their driveway. Two men in military uniforms headed for the walkway leading to their front door. "Dad," Justin started to say, but his dad held up a hand to silence him. His body suddenly coiled like a spring. They watched the two men walk up the path and out of sight as they neared the front door. There was something in his dad's face that Justin had never seen before. Fear. His mouth was clamped tightly shut and his forehead was wrinkled with worry. Soldiers at their door could only mean one thing. Kyle. What had happened to him? Had he been hurt? Justin felt queasy. "Stay here, Justin," said Dad in a raspy voice. His dad headed back across the yard. He stepped quickly through the sliding glass door and into the house just as the doorbell rang. He crossed the living room in a few purposeful strides while Justin's mom opened the front door. Justin watched from the backyard as if it were a silent movie. His mom stepped back when she saw the men in uniform. His father caught her before she collapsed in shock. His father lowered his head, his body shaking. Then finally a single sound pierced the quiet, his mother's choked sob. That's when Justin knew for sure. His brother was dead. Kyle was dead. Hope the rest of the book is not as sad as the first chapter. We'll find out next time.